Tell me why Scoot's the number one pick.
Oh, man.
I'm going to throw you on that one. He was like, wait a minute.
That was good.
We're
bringing it back.
We're bringing it back.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
What is going on, everyone? You are listening to The Summit State of Mind, the podcast of dream shakes and step backs and everything Houston Rockets, presented to you by the Apollo Podcast Network. I am your host, your Commissioner Kenny, and with me as always is my brother, my tag team partner, the GM Justin. Follow all of us on all social media platforms at JP_Mirabueno, at Summit Commish, at Summit SOM Pod, and at Apollo NBA, and at Apollo HOU. We are... For the first time ever, we are live via home studio. Home studio cooking. Big home studio hours.
Cooking.
I know, it's like big
home
time.
Studio hours. That was a tongue twister, I would say. That's a lot.
Say that again really fast. As fast as you can.
Big home studio hours.
Yeah.
That's about as fast as I can go. If anyone knows me and watched me this weekend, I move slow.
Circle gets a square, GM, as we start every episode. How are you doing today?
Everything is good, man. It's really, really hot out there. Newsflash, everyone, please hydrate. It is extremely hot. I have to drive from location to location for my job, and let me tell you this, it is nearly unbearable out there. Just food for thought.
Just unbearable? But you weren't saying that last Saturday when you were too busy stopping Brian Ching at the goal.
Yeah, I was hydrated properly. Today, maybe not as much, but hey, now, you know what? The one thing that we can take away from that is that, hey, man, at least your boy diversified his portfolio. He was on the soccer pitch. He doesn't only hang out on the hardwood, guys. I had to diversify the portfolio a little bit.
You're like a jack of all trades.
I am the Deion Sanders of podcast athletes.
Wow. Deion Sanders. Well, you could have gone. Wait, you could have gone Bo Jackson, but you decided to go Deion Sanders.
As people know me, I'm extremely showy.
No, you? Nah.
Deion Sanders.
He's terrible.
That is me.
He's 100% terrible.
I am about as showy as a building block.
Showing as a building block. Watch Crazy Eights with Justin Mirabueno.
Thank you, Matt Schaub.
GM, we are literally in NBA draft week, recording this on a Monday night. Let's see, I can count. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 3 days.
3 days away.
72 hours from the NBA draft. 72 hours from glory, 72 hours from announcing Amen Thompson to the Rockets, 72 hours from announcing maybe a Cam Whitmore to the Rockets, 72 hours of possibly trading out of the number 4 pick. And I know we're going to start every episode, well, especially this episode, we wanted to discuss and put out an episode in regards to our mock board, at least for the top 5 picks. I've said this every episode in terms of the ebbs and flows of the NBA draft. I have never seen the board move as much as it has, and I've said this the past 4 episodes.
It's moving
now.
Swiftly.
It's
moving as swift as Happy Gilmore and the standings for his green jacket at the final 18.
Talking about when he started in last place and he slowly started to rise and then drop and then rise again. It was
exactly. That's exactly what is happening. That's exactly what is happening right now.
That's literally what is happening. Yeah. On the daily, now we have Woj reporting officially today that Portland is going to take one of Scoot or Miller, whoever is available at 3. So, I want to talk about our mock board, and we're going to go into that in just a minute. But, let's take a daily dose of the news that's kind of been grinding out and coming out. Opening up with that, Woj announcing that Portland's going to take one of Miller or Scoot Henderson, whoever is available at 3, because it looks like Charlotte's obviously going to take either Brandon Miller or Scoot Henderson. So with that in mind and how it circles back to the Rockets, what does that mean for Houston and ultimately the belief that Amen Thompson should be donning a Rockets uniform by Thursday night?
That news is news to me, to be honest with you. I didn't hear it. I didn't see it. That's very new.
Dropped it on his pod. I think the Woj pod that took place.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good for you, Woj. Thank you for letting me know. I wish you could have sent me a personal message, but we're good with it. I'll forgive you.
Jeez Louise.
I'll forgive you for that.
Acts like he knows people.
But the thing about this is that it seems highly certain that an Amen Thompson is Houston bound. With everything being said, everything that is reported, obviously, we did see that Cam Whitmore is also on the radar. But don't forget, guys, the thing about this is that with the NBA draft and with everything that is happening, there's so many dominoes that need to fall. And one of the things is either the Rockets will either pick a prospect at number 4 or trade out. Obviously, the rumors of Zion Williamson are running rampant. So obviously, that is something that everyone, all Houston fans and NBA fans in general, need to keep an eye on.
Have you heard anything in terms of the Zion front? In terms of its legitimacy or it possibly going down? Have you heard anything? I'm just curious. I'm tugging the string right here. I'm just curious.
There are a lot of things, a lot of dominoes that have to fall in order for either team to make a decision in terms of whether Zion will be traded. But based on what it's seen, it seems highly certain that Zion's likely gone come Thursday. So everything else in that regard, we will see. It's whether, there's a team like Portland, if Scoot Henderson falls, maybe they end up trading Scoot Henderson to New Orleans for Zion and gets Damian Lillard the help that he wants. Or something happens and Houston ends up trading number 4 for Zion Williamson. Who knows? But there's certainly ground to those rumors, and they should not be taken lightly. That is something that we can all see. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it still. The health is certainly an issue. But if you ask me today what I want to do with the number 4 overall pick, it is I want to run with Thompson as the number 4 pick and roll with what we got. Let's see what we got. Sign some free agents. Go from there.
Free agents like a James Harden?
Obviously there was a name that was reported yesterday or today. Fred VanVleet is one name. Brook Lopez is a name that's highly been surfaced, and obviously my favorite player, Dylan Brooks, is considered a favorite to join Houston. So, everything with that matter, with those guys joining, Dylan Brooks. Sorry, I gagged a little bit.
Oh my gosh, just the thought of Dylan Brooks
I gagged a little
threw up in his mouth.
Just a little bit.
Just slightly.
But
my goodness.
But
so angry.
Obviously he can be a help in the sense.
Right.
With Ime Udoka as coach, maybe that'll be something for Dylan if he were to join. But I'm still gonna stick to my guns.
Right.
I do not believe he is coming.
Rumors, and more rumors continue to shower upon the NBA. The Rockets are no exception. My thoughts in terms of the Woj, I wouldn't call it a bomb, more like a Woj. What's a lighter version of a bomb? I don't know.
Oh man,
a Woj sprinkler?
No, you can say like a light firework, like a Roman candle.
A Woj Roman candle. A Woj Roman Reigns candle. One time.
Wow, can we really put Woj and Roman Reigns in a sentence together? Because that's just, I don't know, that's something I never thought I'd hear in my life.
Bitch ass, acknowledge Woj.
I thought Shams is number 1 right now. Shams has been on it.
He's been on. I'm not hating.
He's been on it.
But in terms of that report that he stated, I'm going to be honest with y'all. The morning of, let's backtrack last year in 2022, when the morning of Woj said, it's settling in now that the top 3 picks are pretty much locked in, that it was Jabari at 1, Chet at 2, Paolo at 3. So I'm hearing this report from Woj, and the first thing that comes to mind is, how seriously am I going to take this?
Where's that gif?
You know what I mean?
I don't believe you.
Yeah, I don't believe you. Or the look up, that's a trap. like seriously, I'm trying to figure out, like, my mindset with the whole thing is that with this board fluctuating literally every single day, and Woj saying that Portland's gonna, lock in with whoever's gonna be available at 3, like, I get that, and the chances of that are probable. Like, I'd say it's pretty high, but at the same time, like, you don't know. That's the thing. Like, last year is a prime example of basically not negligible reporting, but not knowing your sources or not 100% locking it in. Like, I'm sure it's Woj. He has sources. But at the same time, it just goes to show that no one really knows what goes on in that war room. Mm-hmm. And whatever Portland decides, like, Portland, the whole point of what I'm trying to say is Portland can just blow everything up and say, you know what, fuck it. We're going to take Amen at 3. You know what I mean?
They can blow up everyone's boards. Yeah, everyone's boards.
Pick 2 and 3. can have a potential to blow up everybody's board, like, easily. Like, Charlotte taking Brandon Miller to a degree is somewhat blowing up the board, with Scoot being the highly touted number 2 the entire year.
Yeah.
Up until Brandon Miller's like late college season surge. Like, that was the thought process. So in terms of the Rockets, I think at the end of the day, we also just need to realize that the Rockets don't have a lot to work with here. They are the 4th pick. They basically take BPA, the best player available.
Absolutely, they have
whether it's Amen Thompson, whether it's a Brandon Miller, which I think it's a race between those two. I don't think Scoot drops below 3. I would be so shocked if Scoot dropped to 4, and then at that point, I get a little scared.
Everything gets a little fishy.
But until then, until I hear Portland nabbing Amen at 3, I'm not going to really freak out too much. I think basically what's going to happen is I'm anticipating Brandon Miller, Scoot at 2, and then, Portland should take whoever's available at 3. But we all thought Paolo was a Rocket last year, so I don't freaking know at this point.
Considering, that everything with reports before the draft is all conjecture. Everyone is trying to throw red herrings here and there, trying to throw everyone off the beaten path. But with all that being said, obviously there is some merit to the names that are being mentioned, obviously with Cam Whitmore and Amen Thompson at number 4. For me personally, there's no way Brandon nor Scoot fall to us. I just don't think it happens, barring a miracle trade up with the Rockets. I don't know what we would be able to move up for, but it just wouldn't make sense for the teams above us, unfortunately.
Right.
So, with all that being said, it's honestly, it's all a clusterfuck, if we're going to be completely transparent here. With everything that is being said and happening, like, I don't even know if there are teams that may be certain about what they're drafting. I mean, the Rockets right now, Rafael Stone and Tillman Fertitta could be sitting in the war room currently with Ime Udoka and going back and forth whether or not they really do want to make a trade for a Zion, and if that were to be a possibility, I hope that they do weigh out all the things that could occur with having the number 4 pick or trading it for a potential star. Because, I won't deny what the commish says whenever Zion is on the floor, he absolutely dominates the game. But the thing about that is, how often can he dominate? So, that's definitely something that we all want to have as in terms of food for thought.
Well, let's actually move forward here in terms of the news and more news that came out, because I don't know what it is. I don't know. I love draft week, y'all. One, because all the news just starts coming out. Like, all the news just starts piling on, and Jonathan Giovanni got on ESPN and basically said that Amen Thompson reminds him a lot of LeBron James now all of a sudden, in terms of playmaking ability, in terms of how highly touted upside of a prospect he is. The fact that he attached Amen's name to LeBron James has to whet the appetite of Portland or maybe Charlotte now. Because
that's
what is this
certainly something of a way to increase Amen's stock.
But this is funny to me. Like, you've been sitting on this. Like, we know what Amen Thompson is, and it's like we're waiting till draft week, and now we're announcing, oh, he reminds me a lot of LeBron. And I'm like, bro, you've been sitting on this shit for like months. Jonathan Giovanni, like, you literally follow this shit. You come out with a mock board. Yo, the second that the 2023 NBA draft concludes, 2024 mock board will be live. He will fucking bring that shit into existence. Like, he's been on it. So I'm just curious as to why, like, now we're starting to hear news as to why Amen Thompson is now all of a sudden not the second coming of LeBron, but actually being compared to a degree, a young LeBron James in terms of playmaking ability, size, quickness, defense, obviously his athleticism, his bounceability, getting able to jump out of a gym, a dynamic possible backcourt along with him and Jalen Green. Like, what makes you think, like, what is your opinion in terms of, like, actually hearing that news that, he's actually comparing him to LeBron James? Like, I think that's insane to think about. Like, and why, and the timing of it. Why is it coming out draft week? I'm sorry, yo. Let me put on my tinfoil hat. I'm a man of theory. What's going on here? What's the point? GM, over to you.
Conspiracy commish is coming out to play.
Give me my crown.
Anyways, first of all, I'm going to say this. I don't think that comparison is very fair to an Amen Thompson. Maybe he does feel confident enough that he could be comparable to a LeBron James. But the thing about that is, when it pertains to it all, I just think that's an unfair judgment. LeBron James is a generational talent. I think that when he uses his name of LeBron, it's not to be taken lightly. It's meant to be in comparable talents, but it doesn't mean that he will have the similar impact that is of a LeBron James. You might be asking for way too much.
Once in a generation.
Yes,
I
exactly.
think that's not fair. Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
they already say that Wemby is a once in a generation, whatever.
Boo! Boo!
Anyways.
Fuck Wemby. Go on.
Yeah, in the city of San Antonio. Let me add into that. I see y'all. But anyways, when it pertains to all of that, it's just a matter of, that he's not going to use it lightly. Was it Jonathan Givony, correct?
Yep.
But, I think you definitely see
Well, he's not comparing him, but I guess it's just more like he sees like there's a skill set.
A lot of these
Right.
a lot of these scouts, they want to compare them to the highest ceiling, correct? When you're comparing a player, it's like saying, let's say hypothetically speaking, like they saw a lot of Magic Johnson and Tracy McGrady, That's not very fair, but you did see glimpses of it. But that's not the player that he was. Amen Thompson is certainly a playmaker. Absolutely. 100%. He's
with
a great
with
playmaker.
high upside.
Yes, absolutely high upside. But that's just, I just think it's an unfair comparison. But I get it in terms of play and what is seen in terms of Amen's play style. To me, it's all conjecture. All it is basically just trying to talk up his stock, make him look better in regards to other teams, and possibly if teams were to trade up, quote unquote, like more attractive teams on the bottom of the lottery to make offers to the Rockets or I don't even know who's number 5, Detroit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in that sense, I do believe that Amen does want to come here. When when you hear Jalen Green mentioning and singling out an Amen Thompson on the podcast, that's certainly something, and there's a little bit of smoke to that fire, metaphorically speaking.
Right. And I think in terms of Amen, I mean, he's been crushing all of his workouts as well. Reported today that he crushed his Rockets workout. I'm not shocked at all by the news.
Courtesy of Jackson Gatlin.
I think the news when it came out that I think the Rockets just that they're highly impressed with his talent, his bounce ability, his ability to play with the team. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with an Amen Thompson at the number 4 pick. I mean, it's pretty much locked in, but God, if last year's any indication, man, so much PTSD. Like, I'm just thinking back in my head, I'm like, I can't count on this happening.
Yeah,
like, I don't know. Like, you just never know. I mean, which is why the mock board will take place. We will put our mock board in. We have to pencil in our mock board because
of our top 5.
Yeah, because our top 5 might be right. That's the whole point of what I'm trying to say.
You never know.
You just never know.
Never know.
No, seriously, you never know. And before we move on to that one last piece of news that did end up coming out today, which is like I said, man, it's the ebbs and you gotta love NBA offseason, man. The ebbs and flows, the drama of it all, the news that, like, for example, Amen was the next LeBron. Amen's crushing all of his workouts. Amen might be top 3, and all Rockets fans and Amen's army in Houston are like, no, he's not gonna go number 4. He's gonna be, like that's the belief now. To now the new belief that a report came out that Harden is most likely now to re-sign with Philly.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to ask you your opinion on that. You being the James Harden stan, you being the James Harden lover, you being James Harden's absolute biggest fan. I want to know what your opinion is. I am saying this in jest. I'm not being truthful.
Hey,
at all.
Man, let's not deny when he was here in Houston.
Right, you were a big fan. I mean, we're gonna.
I fought for my boy.
Right,
day
we're
in
gonna
and day
appreciate
out.
him in 2012 up till 2018, 19. Like,
yeah,
I respect that. We respect game, but
absolutely.
After the news of this now coming out that he's most likely to re-sign with Philly, is there anything that you've heard on that front? And on top of that, what is the belief here that to the truth of these rumors of him actually going back to Philly?
I can see it. I mean, this is the thing. If he truly wanted to be in Houston per se, and he wanted to be here with family and personal friends and all of his business ventures that were here, so he can focus on all of those things. I don't think money would matter. But the thing about a man like James Harden is that I get it. He wants to get paid. He took less money to stay in Philly last year to help them get more players. And this year, he's like, okay, I helped you. It's my turn. He did the Charles Barkley thing, what Charles Barkley did in '99 to sign Scottie Pippen.
Right.
Charles Barkley took $1 million, literally only $1 million to re-sign back in Houston so we can trade for Scottie Pippen and he can get paid. Very selfless.
Teach game, man. Teach game to the youngins.
Yeah, but I mean,
teach game.
Anyways, that's besides the point. I do believe that James Harden's certainly using the Rockets as leverage, and you could see since the All-Star break that Harden was. The reports saying that Harden's likely to come back to Houston, but based on the reports now that it went from almost certain to 50-50 to almost certain he resigns is really funny to me, and it just sounds like a leverage ploy. He wants to get more money out of Philly. Daryl Morey is there, and they just signed Nick Nurse. We'll see if Nick Nurse is a James Harden coach.
James Harden has his pick of coaches. He knows
the
who he
only
wants.
coach he loves is Mike D'Antoni.
And Pop.
Or if James Harden could coach, he'd probably be happy being the coach. So he can just be Point Harden forever and ever.
Coach Popovich as well, though. He's a big Pop fan.
True.
Which is funny because I feel like those two would mix like oil and water.
Yeah, but I mean, I think a lot of stars have a huge affinity for a Greg Popovich.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I don't know. I think my whole belief in the Harden deal right now is I want I've made it clear. I would love Harden back.
I know you would. I don't.
Well, you don't need to be so negative about it. You're so angry all the
People
time.
can hate all they want, man. But I'm telling you how I feel.
I know,
it's
and
okay.
that's fine. And I'm not hating on how you feel. I just want you to respect my opinion.
I do respect your opinion.
We are not having a fight right now.
I think it's fair.
No,
there are very valid reasons why you and many Rockets fans want him back.
I want to compete. That's it. I just want to compete.
We can compete with Fred VanVleet and Brook Lopez.
You want to pay Fred VanVleet $140 million. You're
Maybe.
content with 100. Oh my God. I don't know what we're doing here. So, anyways, my thought process now is that, look, I want James Harden to re-sign back. Is he using us as leverage? I mean, I could see him using us as leverage, but ultimately,
he's definitely using us as
my
leverage.
belief and my prediction is that he's still going to come home. I still believe he's going to be a Rocket. I still think by the time the page turns in July and free agency opens up, I do believe Houston will be able to lock in a deal with Harden. Just based on based on the reports, based on some things that I've heard here and there. I just believe that when the page turns, Harden should be a Rocket. But is it a leverage play for Houston or is it a leverage play against Philly? Like, where's the leverage game going to? You know what I mean? So, when you start
honestly,
thinking about it
Philly
like that,
can pay him more. The thing about this is like this.
But will they pay him more?
We've seen the reports already before about the Doc Rivers drama with James Harden. He didn't want him. If James Harden were to come here after year one and he's like, Ime Udoka's not the guy, get the fuck out of here, okay? Houston does not need any politicking in behind the scenes, okay? I'm going to tell you that right now. The thing that we do know about a James Harden is that the man likes to politic. He likes to be a politician.
Politic his ass
behind
off.
the scenes. And, regardless if anyone says it, believes it, whatever. But the only thing that I do not want to see is like after year one reports of like, oh, he doesn't want to play with the Jalen Green. He doesn't want to play with the Tari Eason or Jabari Smith Jr. Doesn't think Ime Udoka is the coach. Whatever, dude. You're old.
But that's the back end of
you're
the
old,
fear.
Man.
But that's the back end fear of Rockets fans.
Yeah,
And I get that because that's been his history.
If management wants him back and, it's all about the nostalgia factor.
They'll allow it.
It's all like
right.
The Rockets are essentially the sad husband or wife that got left at the altar the first time and their fiance is back and they're ready to get married this time. I don't know if that's the replay that this team wants, but to me, to be frank, it's a little pathetic.
The GM dropping a little therapy session mid-episode. I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm just keeping it real.
keeping it. When keeping it real goes wrong. Do you remember that?
Thank you, Dave Chappelle.
When keeping it real goes wrong. All right, GM, let's go ahead and get back to the meat and potatoes of this episode. The people have wanted, the people have asked for it. Let's drop our NBA mock board for the 2023 NBA draft, the top 5 picks. Let's review it. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. At number 1, San Antonio. At number 2, Charlotte. At number 3, Portland. At number 4, our Houston Rockets. Number 5, Detroit Pistons. GM, you're your namesake for a reason. I will hand the keys over off to you now.
Okay.
Mock board one time. Give your mock board. Tell me why Scoot's the number 1 pick.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna throw you on that one. He was like, "Wait a minute."
That was good.
We're
bringing it back.
We're bringing it back.
Obviously at number 1, San Antonio takes Victor Wembanyama. Nothing. Okay, you ain't shit, brother. Just kidding. Can't
wait for Alp to do work.
I'm not
going
to completely hate on him. Let's be real.
Can't wait for Jalen to dunk on him.
Absolutely.
I can't wait for Jabari to lock his ass down.
You know those guys.
Oh, I'm like
those
so
guys
here for it, dude.
are like slobbering out the mouth.
Slobbering out the mouth.
They're ready. To quote Vernon Maxwell.
Right.
Number 2.
Also, hey, you should give your reasoning behind it. Like don't just.
They take Victor because he's 7'4".
No, I know, but for each pick.
Okay. Yeah. I know.
Put your what is it? You put the thesis, and then I don't remember what the next part is.
Anyways,
go on.
To me, at number 2, the Charlotte Hornets select Brandon Miller. They don't have an impactful wing that has the talent of a Brandon Miller, and his type of play definitely complements a LaMelo Ball. And Charlotte needs help. They definitely need help. Although LaMelo Ball's health is in question, obviously the option of drafting Scoot Henderson and trading a LaMelo Ball because they drafted Scoot Henderson. But if they were to do that, they'd have to do it before the draft because it would completely devalue LaMelo. Everyone would know that they would try to trade LaMelo. So everyone would lowball Charlotte. So it just makes no sense. If you're talking about asset management and everything in that regard, you got to take Brandon Miller at number 2. He's a need, and if you put them in a certain level, he might not be at the same quote-unquote superstar level, but Brandon Miller is definitely seen as a multiple all-star, a star, but they're just not sure if he can eclipse that to get to the superstar level. At number 3, Portland will absolutely take Scoot Henderson. Whether they trade Damian Lillard or keep him is a whole other story, but Scoot even said that he was willing to be tutored by a Damian Lillard. And let me tell you, I think that's a wonderful thing. He's not the best shooter. That's something that he would want to work on.
Right.
But to have someone
like
to learn from
like Dame,
that has that ice cold veins flowing through his blood, man. Like
that would be an insane
that sounded
1-2
so weird
punch.
The way I said it.
Oh, I mean, yeah, definitely. Very graphic.
But yeah.
Like, that 1-2 punch though would be insane.
Absolutely. And that's,
oh my gosh.
that,
Portland would get slobbering out the mouth.
I feel like it's very obvious that that's kind of where things are headed. Whether they trade it is a whole other story. We don't know yet. We'll see. Obviously, there are reports of Dame going to Miami or New York or whatever. But that's besides the point. At number 4, the Houston Rockets trade the number 4 pick for Zion Williamson.
What?
Well,
No.
I don't know. I don't want it.
Is that the mock? Is that your mock? Oh,
that'll be my mock.
We didn't talk about this. Holy fuck.
Yeah, I feel like they traded to New Orleans. In my opinion, I feel like 3 years of kind of hanging in the cellar dweller embarrassment of the league at this point.
He popped me.
The Rockets are ready.
Fucking popped me.
The Rockets are ready.
Holy crap.
And, I feel like as much as I want Amen Thompson, I feel like that's probably the move that they feel that can put them over the top. The Rockets, I feel like they do.
I'm still in shock.
I mean, honestly, if you ask me, I want to draft Amen, but
oh my god! This is your mock board, good sir.
I think the team wants they are ready to make the next step forward in terms of the rebuild. They're ready to flip the book, go to the next chapter, and I think that they feel that move is something that can take them over the top. They have money to spend in free agency, and I feel like they will spend. They got options. They can absorb contracts as well if they're looking for veteran help like a Mike Conley, but I just think that that's probably something that is certainly a possibility. With my mock board, I feel like that can happen.
Well, you talk about the mock board, and I have a question to ask for you because if the Rockets trade that pick and it goes to New Orleans, who does New Orleans pick? New Orleans is going to go Amen at 4? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They can go
Fair
Amen
enough.
for sure. They can put him
Did
at the 1
not
with
expect
Brandon Ingram,
that.
and then CJ McCollum at the 2, and then let
can't wait.
McCollum guard the 1.
We're going to clip this part.
Amen
Jeez Louise.
Oh, is this what you're going to use?
Probably,
I don't know
because
about
holy crap. Okay,
and at number 5,
yeah, round it out.
Detroit, man, I don't know what Detroit does, man. They have Cam Whitmore, Asar Thompson, or Jarris Walker. If you were to ask me today who they take, I'm going Cam Whitmore. And I'm going to go Cam Whitmore because it gives them another option with someone that can dribble, isolate, shoot the ball. Some people believe he was misused in college. So, maybe going to Detroit, playing alongside a Cade Cunningham. Who else is there, Kenny?
Killian Hayes.
Killian Hayes and who was their big they drafted as well last year? I forgot his name. And then Jaden Ivey is there as well.
They got Jaden Ivey, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
they got a good, young,
there's
solid
a lot
core.
of options there for them.
Go, buddy. I'm going to look it up for you.
But you know what? Like, I think if you were to ask me, quote unquote, today, they traded for James Wiseman
Jalen
too.
Duren
Jalen
as well.
Duren,
Yeah.
that's right. Jalen Duren.
So they got a team. Like they got
some. They got some.
They got Bogdanovich too.
When
When
it pertains to all of that, I do think that they can probably go there, especially with another wing at the 3. If they want like sharp shooting, then Asar Thompson is the move. But maybe they go Cam Whitmore. But we'll see. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, dude. It's just a draft board.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But
It's
hey,
a mock board.
Mock it up. Mock it up, guys.
Well, you decided to go like completely left field with your mock. I did not expect you to announce that the Rockets will trade their
Hey
pick.
man, nothing is meant to be like.
I know. I'm just shocked.
It's all just to get you a little pop.
Yeah, I mean, you got me to pop. I wish I can get you to pop at some point. You never pop.
Hey man, you know what? I'm like the bubble that doesn't burst.
The burble? You're the burble that doesn't burst.
That doesn't.
You're
burst.
the burble.
The burble that doesn't.
The burble bee.
I don't know.
You're the burble bee. I don't know what the hell you're saying. GM, good. Wow, shocking mock board to say the least. You had Brandon Miller.
Should it
at
really
2.
be shocking?
I mean, the Rockets trading out. Yeah, I didn't expect you to say that. I thought you were the Rockets. Anyway,
They want vets. The team
I know.
wants
I'm not
vets,
hating.
man.
I'm just saying, like, wow, it's crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and give mine now. I'm going to go ahead and start first and foremost by just stating this. Like I said, like the GM said earlier as well, this is just going to be our mock board, our belief based on what we've heard, based on scouting, what we've seen, eye test, as well as data we've collected, reports and everything of that nature is basically kind of formulated in our mock boards and made us kind of think like this is what we believe is going to happen. So Spurs with the number 1 pick are obviously going to get Victor Wembanyama. The whole year,
womp, womp.
The past 2 years has been about the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. So there's no shock there. Victor goes number 1. That has been concluded since like last year. So that's all said and done. Pick number 2, while the GM picked Brandon Miller, I'm going to go ahead and shift the other way. The Hornets are going to go ahead and take Scoot Henderson. Scoot, who has been the highly touted number 2, really, not really, highly touted number 2 prospect out of the draft for the longest time. And I just don't believe Brandon Miller for like less than half a season was enough to eclipse like Scoot Henderson and everything that he had kind of shown up until this point. I like the as much as people hate on the LaMelo and Scoot like fit. Imagine how dynamic of a backcourt that backcourt will be.
Yeah.
If you plug Scoot at the 1 and LaMelo is like a hybrid 1-2, I still think that'll be an athletic as hell backcourt. That'll be a shifty backcourt. On top of it, it'll be a very, very versatile backcourt. 2 creators that can basically bounce with bounceability, vision, the way that they can see the floor, coupled with the fact that you have the players around them. Like, you can center it around those 2 and you got something cooking. So I think they take Scoot at 2. Whether they trade the pick or decide to do something with it, maybe they want to trade Scoot to help someone out with LaMelo. That remains to be seen. But as of now, Scoot goes number 2 to Charlotte. Number 3, this is where things get a little interesting. This is a mock board, okay? This is a mock board.
Oh no.
So this is just, this is just honestly what I think and what I think may happen. I've been known to seeing some crazy things in terms of NBA draft. The way Scoot has been trending lately has been not Scoot. Brandon Miller has been trending. Like, he's been trending like very much upward.
Jabari Smith fall.
Very Jabari Smith-like, if I were to call it that. He's been rising above the ranks. Like, Paolo Banchero last year was the consensus number 1 pick, like, for the longest time. It was between him and Chet Holmgren, and then all of a sudden Jabari Smith came out of nowhere and ended up becoming, like, the possibility, the consensus number 1.
True.
Right? Towards the end of the NBA season. So Brandon Miller on a similar trajectory, the belief would be that he would go number 3 to play alongside a Damian Lillard, whether or not they trade the pick. I don't think so. I think they're going to go with more dynamic. I think they want to go with a higher upside. I think they want to go with a player that can change the culture. Because if you think about it like this, they're not. What if Dame's not a trailblazer?
Yep.
So you got to build the team around a young stud. Mm-hmm. Do you build around Brandon Miller, or do you build around the high upside of an Amen Thompson? So I'm thinking that if they're thinking of trading away Damian Lillard, I want to put all my eggs in a row here.
Wow.
Portland needs to think long term.
Wow.
I think Portland is going to take Amen at 3. I think Portland is going to blow up the board by taking Amen at 3 with the high upside. You can build a team around that.
I respect it.
Better than building a team around a Brandon Miller whose ceiling is significantly lower than an Amen Thompson.
Portland would be lit up if
100%.
they don't take Brandon Miller.
Very much like Penny Hardaway was lit up for getting drafted by getting taken by Orlando. I'm just saying, but
but they traded because they traded Chris Webber.
Yeah, no, but the
number
higher,
1 rated prospect, one of the highest rated prospects ever.
I know.
Yeah,
but still, like, my bottom line here doesn't change. And the fact of the matter is that I have to start thinking of Portland. You start thinking of life outside of Damian. I think
it's very fair.
Right.
It might be a year early, but I mean, if they make the trade, who knows what happens?
Like, but Damian have enough patience?
But they have Anthony Simons.
Yeah, but that's what but still, like, you want to trade that pick and make it happen. Like, you can get an Anthony Simons, but that's not going to mortgage the fact that you
Amen Thompson can certainly help Anthony Simons.
Amen Thompson is like a plug and play guy. I feel like he can just come in any team just as much as Brandon Miller could. It's just that Amen Thompson has a higher upside and a little bit more versatility than a Brandon Miller. So if I were them, I'd go for the higher upside. It ultimately leads to my guy, Brandon Miller, at number 4 for the Houston Rockets. Brandon Miller comes to Houston and suits up with his best friend, Jabari Smith. I know they're not best friends. They just play so similarly. But Brandon Miller does have...
Brandon Miller went to Alabama and Jabari went to Auburn. Best friends is quite an overstatement, I would say.
Kidding. But I will say this, though, in terms of what Brandon Miller will bring to the table for Houston, because a lot of people are against Brandon Miller. Mm-hmm. I'm not 100% for Brandon Miller, but at the same time, I get the Paul George comparisons. A significantly better handle than my boy right here, my son Jabari Smith. Shouts to my people that are watching on YouTube. But, like, for me, I think the ability to plug Brandon Miller in with this line, let's say the crop stays and it's KPJ or even Fred VanVleet. Fuck it, right? Mm-hmm. Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green. You plug Brandon Miller in at the 3, Jabari Smith at the 4, and you get someone like a Brook Lopez at the 5.
Yeah.
That's a solid fucking group.
Yeah.
And Brandon Miller,
very solid.
A proven knockdown 3-point shooter that basically addresses a big need, which one of your biggest weaknesses on the team was a 3-point shot. You solve that right there. You get more versatility and handles with Brandon Miller at the 3, a lot more than you would get a KJ Martin or a Jayshawn Tate, a higher upside there. And then on top of that, Brandon Miller's defense, which is not astounding, it's nothing like insane, it's not game changing.
Yeah.
But you can't knock the length, you can't knock the 7-foot wingspan, you can't knock the fact that he's 6'9", you can't knock the fact that he will plug in with this team and give them exactly what they need right away. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the no-brainer pick at number 4. Should he be there? I mean, flip it. Amen.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Amen or Miller. If either of them are there, like, I'm good with it.
If you were to tell me that Brandon Miller drops the 4, I'd absolutely take Brandon Miller. Absolutely.
If it's available, then you take it there. Pick number 5. This is where it gets a little hazy.
A little tricky.
Me. Yeah, a little tricky. GM said Cam Whitmore. I get it. He in terms of getting out of the top 4, he should be the consensus number 5. And I would believe that he is the consensus number 5 because of how dynamic he is and his style of play. I can put a slight argument in him possibly sneaking into 4, but it's not enough to outshine an Amen Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
I think the smart pick, at least for Detroit, would be to take the twin. I would take Osser because
that's still a
not
good
even
pick.
just
still a good pick.
Not even just fit, but his desire to play, his hunger. He has a lot of fire in him. Knockdown fucking shooter, like a knockdown. Exactly what they need. Detroit needs that.
Yeah,
he provides that for him and doesn't need the ball in his hands to succeed. Cam Whitmore, who kind of needs the ball in his hand a little bit more to succeed, you plug in Osser right away, and you have a knockdown shooter at the 3 already out of the gate. It's a perfect setup, in my opinion, to plug Osser Thompson into that number 5 spot. I think Osser goes number 5. It'd be a toss-up between him and Cam Whitmore. Obviously, the push would be towards Cam Whitmore being at 5. But if I were them, I would possibly look into seriously getting Osser Thompson at the number 5 spot.
That's a very
if
fair
he drops
pick.
below that, teams may regret it down the road. So, GM, this is pretty much our mock board. I want to know what y'all's mock board is. If you guys follow us on Twitter, Instagram, drop your mock board, at least for the top 5. Tell me why Scoot Henderson deserves to go number 1. Tell me why Victor should go number 4 to Houston.
Yeah, let him know. Let him know.
Let him know one time. GM. Okay, let's go ahead and conclude our episode. But before we do, we just want to go ahead and drop a quick announcement to let everyone know with the NBA draft coming around. With the NBA draft coming this Thursday, especially 3 days out, myself and GM are excited to announce that we will be doing a live stream with Apollo in studio during draft night. You can literally live stream our entire reaction from number 1 on, getting to see whether or not Brandon Miller gets drafted at 4 or if the Rockets possibly get Zion on draft night. You'll get to see all the reactions by going on Apollo Media's YouTube channel, Twitch, Twitter, and enjoy the night with us, especially if you can't make it out to the draft party. We would love it if y'all could come and enjoy the night with us live streaming as we get our grade A reactions.
Very excited, very excited to, share the platform with everybody. Hopefully people join and, shoot us your thoughts, messages via YouTube or Twitch, whichever your platform is.
And if you have any questions as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will be happy to answer it. The GM will be happy to answer them. He's got ammo for days, so I'm sure he can.
Yeah, I
has
don't
a
know about
lot.
That.
CM
By
Punk.
Thursday, we'll see how many
CM
bullets
Punk.
I have in the chamber.
I have a lot I
Not
need
sure.
to get off my chest. I don't know. I was trying to think of something more witty at that moment.
Nah, this is good enough.
I was either going to go that or John Cena. You can't see me.
It was good enough. It's all
That was
good.
good? Solid?
We'll take it.
Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and end this episode right now. GM, give the people what they want. Give the people what they want. And go ahead and end the episode properly one time.
Surely, I will give the people what they want. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at JP_Mirabueno. Make sure to follow our podcast on Twitter and TikTok at Summit, SOMPOD. And on Instagram, make sure to follow us at Summit State of Mind _POD. And make sure to follow our people, our brothers, our family at Apollo NBA and at Apollo HOU.
And you can also follow me on Twitter as well at Summit Commish. Shoutouts one time to the Apollo Podcast Network brethren that continue to kill the game. Shoutouts to BTD. Give them your first listen for all Houston Astros content beyond the diamond. You can listen to them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can watch them on YouTube. Shoutouts one time to the All Houston Texans podcast for Apollo at Apollo Texans. Be sure to give them a follow as well. Off the Gridiron. Give them your first listen, watch in terms of all Houston Texans content. Shout outs to the One Take Podcast for everything and anything that you need in regards to all pop culture. You can give them a watch, a listen on YouTube, on Twitter. You can give them a listen as well on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And we appreciate each and every one of y'all for continuing to let us be your number one source and your number one listen and watch in terms of all Houston Rockets content, as we are officially now on YouTube on the Apollo Media channel. So we do appreciate each and every one of y'all. Episode 166 officially in the books. GM, by the time
166, wow.
Yeah, by the time we turn the page with our next episode, we will be post-draft.
Wow, I don't know if I'm ready for that, man.
I can't wait to talk about
That's
Zion.
That's a completely different world.
I can't wait to talk about
once
Zion.
The draft is over, we can transition to free agency, which is going to be a whole other world of craziness.
I can't wait to talk about Zion on the Houston Rockets. Let's go ahead and end this episode here as our producer gives us the go-home cue. We appreciate each and every one of y'all. Join us once again this Thursday at 7 p.m. for the NBA draft, for the live stream available on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you get all your streaming platforms as well. And we'll be back with our next episode post-draft. I can't wait to talk about it. We're going to see what's going to happen here, and we're going to end this episode as we end every episode. Go Summit, go Apollo, and by God, do the right thing